Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dad Bods and Bad Attitudes. I'm your host, Christopher Samela, and I'm joined, of course, by my co host, candidate for Congress in District 16 of Florida, Mark Davis. We have two very special guests today. We have retired U.S. Army Colonel Alex Simmons with us, and we have community activist Jennie P. And we're really excited to talk to each of these guests about not just what's going on around the world, in particular in the Middle East, but also here at home in America. So I'm going to turn it over to Mark. Mark is going to cue us up with some topics for today. We'll get into the background of each of these guests, but we really want to hear what they have to say about everything that's going on right now. So, Mark, I turn it over to you.
Yeah, I think I say this every episode, but this one's exciting, right? Being able to talk to a colonel and then an activist that's right here in Florida, so right in our backyard. So super excited about this episode. But usually, I just like to kind of kick this off just to lighten the mood about just like the something weird that's going on, right?
Uh
And
huh.
it's just something.
Lots of that.
I was literally, and this might sound weird, I was literally taking a shower just like an hour ago, and I was listening to the news, and they were talking about Melania, and you guys might know more about this, but Melania just came out. Do you know about this, Chris? She just came out and made an announcement and said that she's tired of people picking on her about her Epstein and
What?
relationship. Yeah, dude, it's completely bizarre. And she just came out, just said a whole statement about it, about how she's tired of people her linking her to Epstein and she didn't do
Hang
anything
on.
wrong. And it was completely bizarre. Jenny, did you see that?
I did not see it. I heard about it. And obviously, to me, I think there's something coming down the line, like some redacted stuff
Uh huh.
that I don't know who has it. Maybe it's Israel. I don't know, but it's going to be interesting. As always, every day is interesting with this administration and
I
not
just
a
got
good
a
way.
headline here.
Yeah.
This is I didn't. So sadly, I'm working a day job, and before I retire to my cave to do this show with you guys, so I didn't see this, but now I just pulled it up. This is the headline from MS Now: Trump blindsided by First Lady's surprise remarks, denying all but casual, in quotations, ties to Epstein and Maxwell. They were just casual ties. There were ties. They were casual, and Trump was surprised by this
But
announcement.
the weird thing is that she just made the announcement. It was just such a bizarre time to do it. Did you did you hear about that, Alex? Did you see
I saw the headline. For the sake of my blood pressure and my sanity, someone named Trump is on the screen. I tend to mute or turn it off.
Uh huh.
So there's a phrase we have in the South. It's called a hit dog or holler.
Oh yeah.
And so I hear Ms. Trump talking about, well, I had no relationship with Epstein. It was just a casual whatever. What I hear is a hit dog or holler. So there's something coming. Whatever it is, I don't know. But if everything was fine, why would you go
Exactly.
on media and say something?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, man. It's a soap opera. Every day it's something different, you know?
Mark, you know what I heard when Alex said that? I heard, I did not have sexual relations with that woman, right?
Yeah, man. But this is so bizarre, man. And if she's trying to create, like, I think, like, we all hope that maybe she's trying to create separation between her and Trump and she's going to come out and like lay it on him. That ain't going to happen, right? Like, that's just wishful thinking. But I wonder what's going to happen. Just one of those other bizarre things that happens in the Trump universe. So,
Here's the quote: I have never been friends with Epstein. From time to time, since overlapping in circles is common in New York City and Palm Beach, we sometimes attended the same parties as Epstein.
yeah.
I'm sure that's all it was.
But the whole time, the bizarre thing, right, is that she didn't do it for Trump. She didn't say anything really
Right.
about
Yeah.
Trump. She didn't say Trump's not Epstein's friend. She didn't back him up at all.
He didn't even tell him she was doing this press conference. So I think we know that says it all. There's nothing else to say.
But she didn't tell him.
No, it says Trump blindsided by First
Oh,
Lady's remarks.
I didn't catch up. Interesting.
That's
Weird.
great.
Weird.
Okay. So, and I don't know if you guys can, how much more Epstein you can stomach. Mark, I mean, like go back several months. Some of our first episodes were entirely Epstein.
Mm.
So, I, I I'm getting a little bit of that vomited, regurgitation, just thinking about about those emails again. So maybe we move on to something, I don't know, more gross, less gross, and disturbing. It's
Well,
a crapshoot. So it's up to you.
I mean, I think we got to talk about the ceasefire, right? And
Ceasefire.
this is a huge deal. And I'll kind of set it up how I think it kind of looks, and then you guys, can pick it apart. But like, obviously, in our opinion, right, that it looked like he was a pedophile, and then he went to war to try to stop people from looking at him being a pedophile, right? And then he got into the middle of the war, and then he realized he got way ahead of himself, right? And the world wasn't helping him, so he
Uh-huh.
wanted to get the hell out of that because his popularity was going down. Basically, I feel like we just lost a war, in my opinions. I know that's crazy to say or think, and you turn on Fox News and they're applauding what this circus jerk that he just put us through. They're applauding it, But Alex, tell me, man, like you were in it. You were an officer in our great military. Are you thinking about right now, man?
So before I go any further, I'm not a military contractor. So everything I say is my opinion alone, does not reflect the views of my employer, my customer, or United States government. I had to put that out there.
Sure thing.
This is insane. Here's why. If you look at the region itself, and you understand, if you do any type of study or analysis of the region, you know that the key terrain is the Strait of Hormuz. You recognize that if you're going to do anything in this region, what you got to do is you got to make sure the strait stays open, because 20% of the world's oil goes through here. And by the way, in order to control the strait, you have to do either you put naval forces there to escort traffic, or you put troops on either side to control the area. But long and short is, it's hostile. A hostile environment is going to be dangerous. Anyone that thinks, okay, I'm going to start a war with Iran for pick a reason, if your first, second, and third thoughts are, let's make sure that this strait stays open, because even before this fight started, this has happened throughout the years where there's been noise of war. The supreme leader said, the president of Iran has said that, hey, if you attack us, we're closing the strait. Not surprised, not a secret. They've always said it. So now we start this war, and what do? They close the strait. And I don't know how things are in Florida right now. I know here, where I'm in Virginia, gas has gone up about $1.50 since this thing started.
That's about 50%, right? Is that
Yeah,
about
almost
50%
close to,
increase?
because it was, I remember, because the weekend before it started, it was late February, it was 260, about 260.
Yeah, we were hanging on like $3.99 there for the longest time, and I think I don't think the gas stations wanted to cross that $3.99, but they finally had to.
Yes,
I
same
think it
thing here.
finally I think it finally dropped below $4.
I think, statewide, mark gas is probably up 30 to 40% here. And it sounds like Alex it's up a little bit more than that. So,
Mhm.
I mean, Alex, your point being there were immediate effects.
Yes. And I think the concern when I saw this kick off was, okay, have we thought this all the way through? If you've done some of the analysis, some of the reading on it, the administration's theory of victory was that we can do the same thing in Tehran that we did in Venezuela. We can come in, we could take out the supreme leader, they will capitulate, and we get what we want, because that's what we're able to do in Venezuela and Maduro. Couple big differences here. One, Iran is over twice the size of Venezuela, about 93, 94 million people. Two, there's been angst between the United States and Iran, not since 1979, since 1953, when the CIA overthrew their prime minister.
Exactly.
Third, there is no viable opposition in Iran. There hasn't been for a very long time. So even if you want to use the Venezuelan model, you say, well, we can overthrow Maduro, and then maybe someone could take over, or maybe they'll be willing to talk to us. Yeah, so far so good. Iran's an entirely different story. And oh, by the way, the fourth thing, Iran sits on top of probably one of the most important strategic choke points on the planet.
Yeah.
I
And
want to go
so
back
if you,
to your point about the 1950s,
Mhm.
because I've just let's just talk about that for 1 second, because
Yeah.
and correct me if I'm wrong, didn't we put like their leader in place, the supreme leader in place, and
Correct.
then So
Well,
we
we put the Shah in place. We used the Shah to bump off their democratically elected prime minister, and then our guy got bumped out by the revolution.
Correct.
right. So we put him in place, and then but he liked the West too much, right? And then his country revolted against him. Is that right?
There's a couple of things. Um, Mossadegh, Mohammad Mossadegh, who was prime minister for Iran before he was overthrown, was trying to basically nationalize the resources because we and other Western countries were primarily developing the oil within Iran. And Mossadegh said, "Hey, this is ours. Why don't we use it for ourselves?"
Mm,
And the government, the U.S. government, and a few others decided, you know what, we don't like that idea. So, we're going to take you out and put someone else in charge you want to be, which was Mohammad Pahlavi,
right.
who was the Shah, and he stayed in power until 79. The Pahlavi's problem was that because he had secret police that were very violent, that were very brutal,
Mhm.
and oppressed the government, oppressed the people, he did not build up friends. He did not make friends and influence people in his time in office.
Uh,
So we go back to Khomeini, who was in exile in Paris for years. When the people are that angry at the ruling government and a leader comes and says, "Hey, I can make things better." Khomeini's trick was that he was able to tell the business owners, the communists that were actually in Iran, everyone else there said, "Hey, if you support me, I'll come in. We will create an Islamic republic." The opposition that joined Khomeini focused on the republic side.
Right. Not the Islamic side.
Exactly. So when he finally came in 79 and took over, what did he end up doing? He proceeded to take out all that opposition. So therefore, you now had an Islamic republic. He said the key on the Islamic piece. So that's how it all built.
mm,
And when we talk about how we've had a problem with Iran for 47 years, the Iranians go back way further than that,
Yeah.
and they remember. And when they remember these things, so for us to say things like, "Well, you can trust us," really? Can we?
right.
Can we really trust you?
Mhm.
That's led to what we're saying now, and
Yeah.
it's been frustrating.
But,
And
but
it
we
and
done
uh,
that. Like Pete Hegseth. I've seen clips circulate online of Pete Hegseth where he has stated in the past that every time we interfere with foreign governments that we cause more problems. These people are on record saying this stuff. You know, like there's
Mhm.
something else going on here, that is mischievous or evil or greed or something that is driving this. It's just weird.
I think the sad part is that it is. Go back to Hegseth for a minute. The Secretary of Defense's main job is to advise the president on military matters. His job is not to be a yes man and do whatever the president says do, and that's what we have. Part of my 25 years service, I'm also a trained joint planner. So I know for a fact that there were plans that were built in case something like this happens. I know that before the president decided to start this thing, I know advisors came to him and said, "Hey, boss, might not be the best choice. Here's why. We might need to do these things so it can be successful. Here's why." And my frustration has been throughout the last year and change is that I look at the Secretary of Defense and he never seems to actually advise the president on, "Hey, boss, this is a bad idea. Why don't we try this instead?" It's like, "Well, yes, sir. Yes, sir. 3 bags full." Really? That's what we do now?
Mhm. Yeah. And Alex, not only is it that, as in he's a yes man because we know what Trump has built. Trump has built an entire infrastructure and architecture of yes men who really at the same time are all serving their own needs and desires because they're all trying to put themselves in position to wait him out because at some point he's going to be gone. And they all think that they're going to be the next one or use that platform to elevate themselves into some other position. Stephen Miller has his designs, and Rubio has his, and Vance his, and I'm certain that Hegseth has his. And to the degree that when you hear Hegseth talk about the war, apart from him sounding like a raving psychopath, apart from that, he acts like he's on a crusade. I was the first person I know was me saying this guy thinks he's on a crusade. The literal continuance of the crusades of 1,000, 1,500 years ago, Like he's talking like that. This is a religious war, and that he's justified in what he's doing because this is a religious conflict. And so I do think that, yes, he's a yes man to Trump, because what the likelihood is, Trump, to Mark's point, was looking for an out, looking for a distraction. Maybe there were other things at play. They're grifting constantly. I mean, these fuckers are grifting 24/7 between his sons and his inner circle. They're all grifting constantly. So, and I sincerely mean that. What I mean, and what I'm saying is, if they can find an angle, they will make something happen to enrich themselves. They will make it happen.
Yeah.
So and what I mean is that we know what we did with Venezuela. After Venezuela happened, every expert said, you can't just pump this stuff out of the ground,
No.
get it to the refineries in the Gulf Coast, and make gasoline happen. It's not going to work. Okay, this stuff is junk. It's going to take too long to pull out, ship it, get those platforms retrofitted, and get everything refined in the same way that we're accustomed to using it. So, can it be done? Yes. Will it be done in some timetable that will benefit the American people and, of course, more importantly, enrich the billionaires among us? It wouldn't happen. They all told them this. A month later, we're at war with Iran. What does that do? It drives up the price of oil. So the price of oil going up means that the stuff in the ground in Venezuela actually now has more value, even though it's the same stuff. So this could, even just for that reason alone, have happened as a means of driving up the price of oil. Another thing is they're just betting constantly. Everybody knows you can go on Polymarket and Kalshi, and people are pulling out what the bets are day to day. There are people that are presently right now making bets on what we are going to do as a matter of foreign policy every single day. Are we going to invade? Are we not going to invade? What is Trump going to say about the invasion? What's he not going to say? And every single day, someone is enriching themselves, and they're doing insider trading in the markets on top of that with oil futures and everything else. Other raw materials that are in the region, AI companies that have facilities in the region, all of them are at play right now. And all those bets are being made because, of course, the stock market is the world's largest casino.
Yeah.
So all this stuff is going on in real time right now while we're at war. This has never been the case that you could just bet like blatantly on what is happening in world events, and it's going on. And that could very well
Great.
be a driver in why all this is happening. And then to put a bow on that, just in terms of Alex teeing it up, saying that these people are just yes men for Trump, Hegseth can steer him into what he wants, in my opinion. And then everyone around him, if they're telling him he can make money doing certain things, dude has no restraint whatsoever. Like there's nobody that's going to stop him from grifting if he thinks he can make money. So there are multitude of reasons as to why this even happened. And of course, the first was what Mark said many weeks ago. This guy's trying to cover up the Epstein files by bombing the shit out of another country. So let's go to Jennie. We haven't heard from her. She's a real person. She's not
Thank
been in theater like Alex, but she's been in the real world with the rest of us. So talk about that.
I think whether the disturbing part of all of this is whether or not this is being done because they're trying to distract from the Epstein files, or whether or not they are trying to make money, which I think it's both. The fact that we're killing people and the lack of importance of human beings is the most disturbing part of it. Like, if you want to fucking go make money, fine, make money. But the fact that we're killing people for you to make money is so freaking disturbing to me. And I just feel like human life doesn't mean anything anymore. And it's like, I don't have kids, but I just can't even imagine parents growing up in this time with children and having them view this. And I mean, it just baffles my mind.
That's a great
some days
point.
I just can't even, you
I
know.
mean, I have a young one. She's only 6, but Mark has some older kids, and maybe we'll hear. I think we should hear from him on his perspective. Alex, you have kids?
I have 2 adult kids.
2 adult kids. Okay.
Yes, both in their 20s.
So they're all grown up and able to watch this and kind of draw their own conclusion. But Mark, what do you say about your kids? They're older than mine. They're younger than Alex's, and you are still a present father, and you will be for several years, and you're going to be influencing them. How do you do that? How do you navigate what you're seeing in the real world right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably I'm probably a bad example just because I'm so in it right now, and but before I tried to kind of guard them a little bit from politics, right? And that was probably the wrong thing, in my opinion. Now more than ever is now when you need to talk to your kids
Hmm.
and explain to them what's going on, right? When you hear kids or that have MAGA shirts at school and say Trump is the goat or Trump is God or whatever, you got to tell them that those kids are confused. That there's a sickness right now in the Republican Party, and it's not, and you gotta draw that line too. That it's not Republicans that we don't like. It's that MAGA part, right? That fascist takeover that we're seeing, right? And I've had a few conversations with my daughter, and I almost stopped running. I almost stopped doing this because of those conversations, because my daughter said that she was kind of embarrassed that her father wasn't a Trump supporter. And I live right here in the middle of Red Florida, and that just kind of embarrassed her when all of her friends, that's all they talked about was Trump and how much her parents loved Trump. And, it's weird. It's almost like a cult down here. And I could have folded right then, but I kind of showed my daughter that, hey, now's when you have to fight back. Now's where we can, and Jenny, I think you can kind of correlate to this, is where I feel like I'm in a position where I can speak out because I had the financial means or whatever where I could take time off and really focus on this. And so
And
anyway,
Mark, you were saying that kind of things have changed now, and your daughter came to you and was like, "This is actually really cool."
yeah, so I'm hearing more
Right.
and more stories about kids in school to being like, no, Trump's not cool. And I seem like what the kids really do not like, the younger generation, is the trans issue. They hate that issue. They hate not everybody is included in the big picture of love, right? Yeah, they are more okay with the gay community, with with the trans community than we are, than our generation is, right? Like, they're open to it. So when they have somebody come in and say they're not welcome in your community, they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. No, no, no. That's our friend, right? And that's
Love
what,
that.
Hmm.
I
yeah.
love that, Mark. I'm really glad to hear that because, I don't know, it's like I grew up in the '80s and I felt, and maybe it's just because I had really good parents, but I felt like I grew up in a time where it was perfect, like, everything was starting to be, we were accepting everything, and I feel like we've gone back in time, and I just don't understand how this is happening. It's crazy to me.
I think I,
Yeah.
I think the leadership, like Trump, that whole
Yeah,
MAGA,
yeah,
right? Whole golden age has kind of made people think that we're going back in time. But I'm telling you, the movement is progressive. The
okay.
younger people are progressive, and I'm
That's good
excited
to hear.
for the next generation to take over. And the generation ahead of us needs to get the hell out of the way so we can start making some decisions. So,
And I want to hear everybody's point on this because I think you make a great point there, Mark, which is, look, nobody wants to sit here and boil it down to something like, because you're old, we have all these problems. There's a generation of folks that came up that are generally regarded as the baby boomers. They're still clinging to every lever of power across the world. This is going on. She said the '80s. This is going on since the '80s. This is going on since the '80s. You're talking 40 years of this generation that cut taxes on the wealthy, basically rendered antitrust neutered when they were in the Bush administration and started, ramping up for war. Like I would justify Afghanistan all day, but after that, it's just unjustifiable.
Citizens
And
United.
and then they stacked the courts with several of them are boomers, and then they started bringing in younger people, but obviously there were older folks on the court. It got to a point, to Jenny's point, where it was more progressive, and that's like viewed as some pejorative term. It just means we're evolving,
Right.
that we're taking new information and we're able to adjust our perspective on life because we're absorbing and getting new information. We're not stuck in a box with all the world's information and things developing, and we can't react to it.
Right.
So progressive to them means you're a bleeding heart woke lib, but it really just means reacting and evolving. And we were doing that up until a point, and then Mark is right, like Citizens United, and then just look at the influence of these old people in media has basically just re-envisioned what media is and the media ecosystem, from Rupert Murdoch to the Ellisons to Roger Ailes and all of that. And now you have the license to say crazy shit. Now Trump is the president 10 years ago. All of the cretins came out from under their rocks once he was talking about you can grab them by the whatever and you can make fun of disabled people. They just felt emboldened to do this. So this just brought back all this old shit that we had decided as a society is not acceptable. And so for the last 10 years, we're wrestling with this reality that all this shit is just, sure, it's acceptable. You can use, you know, racial epithets. You can make fun of people because they're gay. You could do whatever you want to do. It's no holds barred. It's a wrestling match inside a steel
I
cage,
will
and you
I
could do
will tell
whatever
you
you
this,
want.
Chris. It's
Go ahead.
acceptable. Like you said, it's acceptable, but it's only for that class, that MAGA class. And I'm telling you, the younger kids, people our age, like we're done with that, right? Like for
Yeah, I agree with you.
the majority, and it might be a little bit different down here in Florida, but for the majority of the country, they're trying to shove an old ideology in this country that we're just resisting, right? And we just need to continue to resist that shit. And
Great point.
Trump's going to die. That whole mentality is going to die. And we just need to be ready to be there with a progressive mentality.
Let's hear from Alex on this. I'll tell you, and I want to cue it up like this, Alex, because my viewpoint is what we've been experiencing the last 10 years. I said that those people came out from under their rocks. This is the death throes of white supremacy, right? So you have white culture that was offended that black people got anything. I mean, you could speak to it better than me. We're offended that black people got anything, any level of equality. Then you have, an influx of immigrants, and now it's acceptable to be gay and trans. Fuck that. We're turning over the table, and we're not accepting any of it. This is the death throes of white supremacy and the offshoots of that, Christian nationalism and so on. But why don't you speak to that? You're a man who's been, you've been around the block, you've been all over the world. Why don't you talk to that a little bit?
So let me say one thing first. Mark, I respect the fact that you're running for political office, that
Yeah.
you're willing to go and get into this fight at the in Congress or in Congress and take the fight there. I appreciate that and I respect you for that. And I thank you for that.
For sure.
My perspective on what you're saying, Chris, is I agree with you, but I have one slight difference. I don't think, unfortunately, this is death of white supremacy. What I think what has happened, I'm in my 50s. I think what happened when I was growing up, that there was enough shame tied to it that I could hide.
Mhm.
But it never died. And it never died because the things that led to the growth of white supremacy were never addressed.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. Nelson Mandela in South Africa, when he became president, and when South Africa was dealing with the aftermath of apartheid. Apartheid is just as bad, not as worse as Jim Crow and a lot of things we dealt with here in the United States. The difference was that South Africa said, you know what? Let's be honest what happened. Let's open the books. Let's be straightforward and just say what happened. People did bad things. Let's just put it out there. We're not going to punish you. We're not going to come after you, but we need to make it all clear so everyone knows. So you can't hide. You cannot longer say, well, no, you misunderstood. No, this is the truth. Now that everyone knows the truth, now it's all out there. Now let's build something new. We in America have never done that.
Yeah.
The two attempts, there's been 3 attempts of trying to rebuild, reconstruction. People got tired of it and threw it away.
Yep.
Post-civil rights, people got tired of it, threw it away. And then you can kind of say, if you want to, you can say post-George Floyd in 2020, people say, hey, we got to fix this. People got tired of it and threw it away. And every single time that's happened, those white supremacists that have been hiding under rocks, they came back up. This was a waste of time anyway. It should be like this. This is where we should go. And we continue to deal with it until the time comes where we as a country decide that, hey, we need to look at this problem. Let's put it all out. There's good things that happen. There are bad things that happen. Let's be honest about it. I'm in Virginia, the birthplace of the Confederacy.
Yep.
We are now probably a reliably blue state.
Yeah.
That did not happen by accident. It took time, it took energy, it took effort, it took us recognizing, hey, there are good things that happen in Virginia. There's some bad things that happen. Let's look at it, let's face it, and what do we want to do moving forward? And we're still fighting. But that's one state. It takes all of us have to do that. Will that happen? I don't know if I'm going to see it in my lifetime. So the best I can do is do what I can, work as hard as I can, so my kids and grandkids can do better. That's my perspective. I apologize if it sounds a little sad and negative, but I think the best we can do is fight as hard as we can so that our children can, like you said, Chris, our children can take the next step because they see and want better than what we have now. I'm sorry, that was a lot of talking.
Yep. No, man, dude, I appreciate that. And I can't disagree with your perspective. I know that I kind of made it sound like maybe this white supremacy was on the way out. I think, the perspective that I had was I grew up in South Florida. Mostly I was in New York. I was around minorities and it never occurred to me that it meant never thought about it. Didn't think about it.
I appreciate
I was a little kid, but when you're a kid, you're not dwelling on that stuff. Then I came down here. There was more racist people down here, but I mostly went to school in Fort Lauderdale, which, is a pretty diverse community. So whatever, I didn't really think much of it. I don't surround myself in that environment. And, I just thought those people are in the backwoods, and it turns out the backwoods is right in your backyard. And you didn't think, and if you're a city slicker or a city boy like me or whatever, you're not thinking about it. It's I should take the blame for that, maybe having my head in the sand a little bit, but did think that people, like to Mark's point, generations are changing. We're going to be more progressive and be more accepting of people. And I think we were up until a point. I do think there's some blowback over electing Obama 2 times. And, some people can't stomach it. They couldn't deal with it. And, the reaction to that is Trump and everything since, which is a sad commentary. And it speaks to everything you just said, Alex, about from Reconstruction forward, we never dealt with any of it. You were allowed to lynch Black people. You could just lynch them. Nothing would happen.
I'll give you a good example of how we're not dealing with it, right? And I equate the Confederacy, the Confederate flag, to the Nazi symbol. It's the same thing, right?
Right.
In my opinion, it's the same thing,
Yeah.
right? And we did a horrible job teaching our kids that, all the way through education. And you go over to Germany and they teach the hell out of Nazi, right?
And what happened with the
No
rise of the
way
Nazis?
that you're going to be a Nazi because they teach that the hell out of you, right? We didn't do that. Like we just skipped that part, right? So these people that are waving the Confederate flag, they're like, well, they're getting interviewed and people ask them, why are you waving that Confederate flag and why do you think that's okay? And they're like, well, I'm proud of my heritage. And I'm thinking, who gives a shit? We fucking killed them. They're dead, right? They're fucking dead. We don't care about your heritage. We wiped them off the fucking planet. We demolished your heritage, if you want to put it that way, right? It's ours now. It's not that. Get rid of that flag. It's fucking over. We won the war, right? That's my opinion.
And I actually want to hear Alex's perspective on this because you went to war college, right? As a colonel?
I did.
Yeah, as an officer, I guess you don't have to do that, but you can elect to do so.
A war college, when you get to senior grades, that's the last formal education you get. And so when I was selected for colonel, I went to war college where you study strategy and strategy and policy. So I did that right before. That was my last school in 2017. I graduated from Moore College.
Okay. And I mean, apart from that, you get an education in not only American history, but the conflicts in American history. So when you look through the lens of a military man and you look at the aftermath of the Civil War, how does that how does that play forward from your perspective?
So you have the Civil War itself, and then you have Reconstruction. The entire purpose of Reconstruction was to, one, rebuild the South, but two, to reform, to make us a more perfect union. That was always the plan. And I'm of the opinion that if Lincoln had survived, had lived through the second term, I think Reconstruction would be fundamentally different. Because he was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth. Andrew Johnson, his vice president, became president, who was, for the record, an avowed racist. Who was, for the record, did not think Reconstruction was a good idea. Who was, for the record, did everything possible to undermine everything that at the time was radical Republicans, because they were the liberal party, were doing to try to make the country better, try to rebuild from the damage of the Civil War. He did everything possible. That's why he was the first president impeached. And Reconstruction died because, honestly, people got tired of it because it took a lot of effort.
Yeah.
And that's how the black codes were started in Mississippi and came across the South. That's how Jim Crow laws took place. That took people like me 80 plus years before we had a chance to even address it. Yeah. Before we got to the Civil Rights Movement. And so to go back to the point with it's because war by definition is a political exercise. Once it's over, there has to be some type of political environment in place where the two sides can live together in peace and harmony. That was only partly done after the Civil War. Yes, we stopped quote unquote shooting at each other, but the things that caused it, the peculiar institution known as slavery and the treatment of African Americans in this country as chattel slavery, how they were treated and making them full citizens, which was the purpose of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. That was fought tooth and nail.
Yeah.
And was never accepted. And so when you have this problem, when the political solution to a conflict is not resolved, it doesn't go away, it just sits. And so what happened post 1865, after Reconstruction, which ended 1870, 1878, because Rutherford B. Hayes. Once Hayes took office, they said, no, we're done with this. We're not doing this Reconstruction thing anymore. Yeah. It was never resolved. And so the problem that was the cause of the Civil War was never fixed. And we keep dealing with it. It keeps coming back. Every time we think we're moving forward, it keeps coming back because we refuse to sit as a country, stop, stare at it, look at it, recognize we did a horrible thing.
Yeah.
We need to accept what we did so we can move forward.
Alex, what that sounds like when you say, like, Hayes comes in, he's like, we're done with this Reconstruction thing. It's just Trump and his ilk saying, we're done with this DEI thing. We're done with this woke thing, whatever that is. That we're killing that. It's over. It's the same mentality, which is, well, it's white fragility. I can't be responsible for this. I can't. I'm not going to apologize for this. I can't be inconvenienced over this. So we're just not going to talk about it. And what's worse, of course, is that they've gone out of their way to not just not do it. That's one thing just to not do it. They've tried to reverse everything. So if, I don't need to go on and on about it, but
leave it up to rich white men to make decisions about black people. It's like,
right. Yeah. Makes total sense.
Yeah.
But I mean, the first thing they did, Alex, which it should offend every American, is they had a special exhibit on the government's website about Jackie Robinson. Gone. Colin Powell. Gone. These are great men. What are we doing here?
Gosh.
The fuck are we even talking about? So that's where their head's at in general. If you can't acknowledge the greatness of Jackie Robinson or Colin Powell, I don't care about that he was set up, to be the fall guy for the Iraq war. He's a great American.
Yes. They're looking at a spreadsheet, dude. They're just looking at a spreadsheet.
Right, like here. Redact.
Yeah.
Right, Mark? Redact.
Yeah,
I think you said it, Mark, you said it before, and I think, Chris, you also said it, about how when it comes to this particular president, if he sees Obama written on it, Barack Obama says yes, so that's got to be bad. I got to make that go away.
That's a
Commander,
no.
I actually had two commanders like that as a major, where they really despise each other. And if you want to get Commander B to do something, tell him Commander A, his predecessor, liked it. He's like, hey, Colonel so and so liked that. Oh, he did. Oh, I got to do something different. The same way with this guy. It's like so like
By the way, that's
JCPOA is a
crazy.
perfect example. It was a great treaty. Obama was behind it, so like we can't do that. We got to do something different.
Yeah.
We got to get rid of that. It's sad.
And putting just going to your example about the two majors or the two colonels, the commanders. These are at this point they're elevated military officers of distinction who have served, and they are reduced to animalistic, primal gut reactions. Well, he liked it, so I'm not going to do. And they need to know better, because if they're making life and death decisions, they can't be making decisions that way. But people, so when you have the wrong people in place, or they can't coexist, this is the outcome.
This is true. This is very true.
Yeah.
So,
hey, Jennie, what are your thoughts? Just a bit, stepping back and talking about the place of where we are with. I called it white fragility. I called it, the war on wokeness or whatever. You're in the community. You're a community organizer. You're putting on events. You've been all over the country doing these things at your own expense. Do you see us making progress again in defiance of what the government is trying to do? What is your take right now?
It's been a wake-up call for some white people. Like, I really, like, even talking from my perspective, like I said, I grew up in a time where I felt like the race thing wasn't an issue. I mean, obviously I was naive, and I think social media has played a part of this too. Like, I do believe, like, it used to be shameful to be racist.
mhm.
And social media has made it okay to express your bad views now because you're behind a computer. So it's been a wake-up call I think, for white people.
Mhm.
I'll say the white people that actually fucking care. It's been a wake-up call, and we are realizing that racism is here. It's never left. It never left.
Yeah.
And I feel like white people have been sleeping. The white
Yeah.
people that actually care and are not racist, I feel like we've been sleeping. And the whole Trump thing has brought it out. And so I don't have an answer, though. Like, I don't know, how do you get rid of racism? Like, how do you get rid of the people that just hate someone else for the color of their skin? I don't
The
know.
only thing is education and love, and that's all I can think of. We're killing education, and
Yeah.
understand. And Mark can speak to it as a Floridian and as a parent here in Florida. And then Alex, you're in Virginia, so maybe you could talk about what that guy Youngkin was doing while he was while he was gov. But here, you can go back several governors. We've had Republican governors since the mid '90s. They have all done their damnedest to undermine public education in the state of Florida.
Yeah.
It is an atrocity. It is probably of anything in Florida, it's the thing that upsets me the most, and now they're really trying to get religion into public. They've definitely gotten into private education. Now they want to get into public education. They want to subsidize private education at the expense of public schools. So they want to use those vouchers to funnel money that is from the taxpayers into our public education coffers off to vouchers so you can have choice. But what choice is really about is enriching people who own private schools. And then that's their own club. They want people to go to their club of students. Those students go to those clubs. They're in that club. The people that run it, own it, they take their kids there, they teach there. It's all a club. They're for rich people. They're to keep you there or indoctrinate you in the ways of that class. If you are outside of that class and you're a public school kid like I was, you're beneath them. You are beneath that, and you are actually outside of that circle, that class of society. This is what they're trying to do. So And they know it's like 90-10 or 90% public school. So we don't really care about those kids. We're going to, treat them like a mushroom, cover them in shit and leave them in the dark. Fuck them.
I talk about like there's a virus in the Republican Party, right? The virus is MAGA, but MAGA is racist. That's a racist movement, right? So in my opinion, a way that we start working around racism and getting our country back on track is to stop voting for Republicans for a while. And I'm being serious, like
100%.
school board for your like you were saying, Chris, it's such an important position, and you cannot load school boards up with Republicans when they consistently strip public schools from funds. We got heads of school boards down here in Florida, Sarasota specifically, Bridget Ziegler, and she sends her kids to private schools.
Right. Exactly. Every time, dude, these
Yeah,
people
and
tell
she's
on
a
themselves.
Republican. And I hate to say this so bluntly, and I'm not even running as a Republican. I'm running as an NPA, no party affiliate, right? But I hate to say this so bluntly, but for this next election cycle, we got to stop voting for Republicans because they got a virus in there, and that virus is MAGA. And we're not going to have normal politics. We're not going to have a healed country, and we're not going to move on together until we get MAGA the fuck out of here, in my opinion.
Well,
Totally agree.
can I just say something about education? Because I know we were talking about it a second ago, but I think it's important to understand that 54% of American citizens have a 6th grade reading level or less.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
scary to me. Like that.
Education. You're going to be racist if you're not educated. You know what I mean? You can't get an education. That's an astonishingly troubling statistic.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
Why
like
is that though? Why is that?
I don't know. I don't understand. It baffles me. Every time I
well,
look it up and I'm like, is this really true?
Yeah.
The statistic? Yep,
so
it's true.
Alex has been around a minute. Let's let him weigh in. I can tell you from my experience, there's a couple things. Schools are in large part funded by property taxes. When you're in a lower income community, there are lower property tax revenue. So it's a self-perpetuating cycle that rich white people don't want to change because their schools are going to get funded more if they even send their kids to public schools. If not, they're going to go to private schools, and that money they're going to donate it straight away. So you have this imbalance right off the bat of how schools are funded and where they're funded. And whether you're in a black rural community or a white rural community, funds are drying up right now as we speak. It doesn't matter. And that's something MAGA doesn't want to consider. MAGA doesn't care. They're forgetting rich people don't give a fuck about them as much as they don't give a fuck about black folks.
Well,
They don't care about poor MAGA.
and before we get too off track here, Chris, the question was why, and I want to put this up to Alex here.
I'm just telling you it's about money.
Why do lower income white people, or why are they more prone to be racist?
So Lyndon Johnson, president, has this quote said, and I've seen this. You can tie this back to current modern times. He said, if you tell any poor white person that they're better than any black person, he will let you pick his pocket.
Right.
You say it loud enough, he'll actually empty his pockets for you. So what we've seen, sadly, is that, again, it goes back to what we talked about with Reconstruction going forward, is that if I constantly and continually tell you that you're better than anyone else, simply because of the color of your skin, that's a mindset that's hard to break. Mark mentioned earlier, I think Chris, you said too, about President Obama and the current administration, the current president. January 20th, 2009 was a significant point in our country's history. To go back to that example, if what you've been told your entire life is that no matter what you do, no matter what you say, as long as you're not black, I'm better than you. You sit there, you look at TV screen, you see Barack Obama raise his right hand, be sworn as president of the United States. There is now an unmistakable unquestionable, undeniable fact that that black man is better than you.
Mhm.
So what happened? Sadly, what happened is that the Republicans in the Republican Party in Congress and across the country said, "Hey, we got an opportunity," and they spent the next 8 years trashing this man. And so you see, you're better than him. He's not that good. So he is, and you can just think of the plethora of lies and insults that flowed over that 8 years.
Yeah.
And so does it surprise you then in 2016 when a man like the one that's currently in office wins? It
Does
shouldn't.
me. I
No,
know.
it should not surprise you because what did he do? He spouted that stuff for so many years. And then all you need is just enough people, just enough voters to say, oh, yeah, you're right. I think I want him instead. He's better because, and it's sad. Ties to the education piece. If I keep money away from your schools, so you don't get the best teachers, you don't get the best facilities, you don't get the best resources.
Yeah.
If I tie your school's performance, your school's funding to standardized testing, and then if I do that, so therefore you never get the money, you never get the resources, and you never really rise up, you're a mark. You're an open target. I can always say things that don't make sense about, oh yeah, that everything that's wrong is their fault.
No.
It's you don't have a job because of them immigrants. You're not succeeding because of that black person over there. And is it a lie? It's a bald-faced lie.
You see, like when people like us hear that, right? We can absorb it, right? We can hear it, and then we can say that's a very extreme thing to say. There has to be more nuance. Let me look into that a little bit, right? Like
Right.
that's exactly every time I don't care anything somebody says to me, if it's harsh and it sounds almost not true. I think, oh man, there has to be more to that. Let me look into that a little bit, before I make a decision. That's not happening, like you said, to people that are maybe less educated, that are just kind of steamrolled mentally, right? And they don't have that career, or they don't have that past experience to be able to even question a question, like to even be able to say, I hear that's very extreme. I need to question that. They don't even know. They just take it as truth, right?
Yeah, and Mark, I think something else that we have to take into account, you have to take this into account as well, is that when you're struggling day to day, when you're working hard day in and day out to make sure that you can pay your bills, you can take care of your family, you can handle things. But the phrase is you basically going from hand to mouth.
Yep.
In work. Do you
Yep.
have the reality is that do you have the energy and the focus to actually pay attention to some of these other things?
Right.
The sad
Yeah.
reality is you probably don't, and it's not your. I don't blame you for that.
Right.
You're working
Yeah.
hard. So what used to happen, or what we used to believe happened, is that, well, this person's in charge. This person is a president. This person is a governor. This person is a representative. They're smart. They're capable. I trust them. When they say something, I trust that they're going to tell the truth and say the right thing. But when you put someone that is untrustworthy, that is dishonest, that's going to constantly lie to you, but you don't really have the time to really think about it, oh, well, so-and-so's authority, they said it. That must be right.
But like you said, I want to put somebody smart in there, and you're 100% right. I haven't been this involved with politics since Trump came on the scene, right? And because he's scaring the shit out of me, and I feel like I have to baby him every fucking day, right? That's just what I feel. I feel like I have to watch him all the time. But like, what were we talking about? Help me. What were we
So,
just talking about?
with education and with politics all over the place.
Mark went underwater there for a moment.
We were talking education at one point, and now we're just all over the place. But it's okay.
All over the place. Anyway, but I had a really good point, but it feels like you have to watch Trump all the time now, and I was never really involved with politics until now, and that much, but I feel like this is my point. Thank you. I feel like even when I wasn't as involved with politics, even when I was on the grind of my 9 to 5 or whatever, I feel like I would still recognize people that were intelligent, that
Mhm,
that were making logical sense, and then I would put all my stock into them and say, yes, You got this. Go take it forward. I can believe that. May not trust you 100%, but I can tell that you're normal. Yes. Okay, please. And then I can tune it out. But with this guy, you can't even fucking trust him. You know, like he's a snake oil salesman. Like
Yeah.
and he absorbs so much of your attention because right now it feels like the whole foundation of our federation is being ripped out underneath us, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a different time where we need to do better as voters, recognizing is somebody doing this for greed and
Right.
wrong reasons, or are they actually doing this because they love America? And we voted in a
Right.
whole administration that is doing this for greed and for all the wrong reasons. And I hope our country can figure that out.
Greed, retribution, self-aggrandizement, self-enrichment. That's what they're trying to do. Jenny, what was your comment?
I mean, I was just going to add to that we're dealing with news agencies that are spitting out information that is completely different than facts.
Huh?
Fox News and Newsmax is giving a completely different picture than what the actual facts are happening. So we're up against that too. So we're up against people who are uneducated. We're up against propaganda news. We're up
Yeah.
against this charisma guy.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't see
He's
the
got
charisma.
charisma. He's
I
got the
don't see the
riz, Jenny.
I don't see the charisma in him, but apparently other people do. But I mean that there's just, those things that we're up against and for people who are intelligent like us, we probably all have, college degrees and we can critically think and we can figure out who's bullshitting us or not. Half of the population is not doing that. That's the thing. Half of the population is believing a completely different reality. And I don't know. I don't know
To
what to
go
do.
to education. Education is the fucking key.
Yeah.
It is the thing you have to get. I don't care
Mhm.
who you are
Yeah.
or where you're from
Yeah.
or where you want to go.
Yeah.
You need an education. And that could be in the form of a trade school. It
Yeah.
could be in the form, Alex went to war college. He was an officer in the military. He got an education. You need a good education, a primary education to begin with. And it really starts there. You need an education at home.
And
Every
getting
one of these
right.
things builds upon the last, and you have to have it. And there's something I just saw it the other day. He's a guy that I admire a lot. He's a guy who's prone to talking shit. I'm a music guy. He's well known from the '80s for all of us '80s kids. Henry Rollins. What Henry Rollins said, he was asked in an interview, the number one thing, the difference between being poor and being self-sufficient or maybe even wealthy is education. And dude, it's it. If you can get yourself in a position to get an education at a trade school, you can get a good job that AI can't take. That's number one. You can go into the military, be an officer where you could punch your own ticket. You could go to a college and you could be a schmuck like me, you get a marketing degree, and then you can run an ad agency at some point and at least make some pretty good money. You could do what Mark did. He's made a good living. And like you don't have to be some genius like Elon Musk, but all these guys are grifters. So, there's a difference between being educated and having some sort of, I would say, ethics in your life. There are people around us that they don't have ethics, and maybe they find themselves in a position where they can take advantage of an opportunity.
But I too, like, our education is so drastically different than,
Mhm.
like, our standards, right? Like, I mean, you say you need to be more educated. We're talking about people in our like Jenny is saying that don't even can't read past 6th grade. It's like, we just need you to graduate high school.
Yeah, right, right. Like there's a percentage of people that they don't even get that far.
Right.
And even when they do, like, is the
Yeah.
education they're getting very good? Just because they have a 6th grade reading comprehension doesn't mean they dropped out at the 6th or 7th grade. It means their education sucked.
Right.
But
You
the
know what I
other
mean?
as
And the teachers were not armed to help them. They were not provided the resources. They, you know, you can't lay it all at the teacher's feet or the parents' feet. What's the saying? It takes a village, and it really does. But, like the kids are not being our children are not being armed with what they need to get a good education.
Can I just add one more thing to the education part?
Mhm.
It's also getting away from mom and dad, right? So we grow up with our mom and dads, and I'm so freaking lucky that I had great parents. Alex, like, I have to tell you, like, my mom and dad, I'm gonna cry. My mom is actually being buried tomorrow. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I'm so sorry to
I'm
hear that.
sorry.
No, but sorry.
That's
My
okay.
mom and dad never said any bad words about other people, like Black people or Jewish people, and they always encouraged us kids to be open-minded and, to view all people as, real people. And I'm like, Mark, I forget where I'm going with this. I'm sorry. But getting away from the parents, that's another aspect of the education part, because we all grow up with our parents' beliefs. And like I said, I grew up with really great parents. So I'm lucky that I grew up in a environment where there was no hate being preached about other people. And it was
Mhm.
such a beautiful thing, and a beautiful thing, tribute that I can say to my parents. But not everyone grows up in that environment, and people there's a lot of people that grow up in racist environments, or hatred towards LGBTQ or whatever it is. But the whole aspect of getting a higher education is you're getting away from your parents, and maybe, just maybe, you're learning that they didn't always have the right answers, they didn't always
Yeah.
have the right things to say. So I just wanted
Mhm.
to add that to the education part. And sorry about me crying, but
Please,
Yeah.
obviously none of us knew that, and we're,
that's okay.
we're all our condolences from all of
Thank
us
you.
to
Thank
you
you.
for your mom's obviously recent passing. That's unbelievable, and I appreciate you being here to be on this show with us. And this episode will air in the next couple days, and so I'm going to dedicate the episode to your mom. What's your mom's name?
Thank you. Marion Pulowski. I'll send it to you.
Marianne
Marion.
Pulowski. Okay,
Nice, Chris.
this is
Very
this
nice.
is for her.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate that.
Yeah, sure thing. Well, we'll give her a shout out. What I'd like for you to do, which would be nice, is after the show goes live and we'll have that dedicated. Tag it and say something about your mom that you would want people to know. Okay.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Alex, just to wrap up, where do you see this Iran conflict going now that we looks like we lost? The terms, Mark, you said at the very beginning of the show, we basically gave them everything from their 10-point plan. We got nothing. The strait is not open. People are dead. We killed some kids because we don't know what we're doing or don't care what we're doing. With that said, Alex, where do you think this is going?
Not in a good place, and here's why. There's something about when you threaten someone. Part of the thing about a threat is the fear of the damage happening. So if I threaten to hit you, it's like most of the time the threat's enough because I don't want to get hit. But if once I hit you, you might realize, hey, wait a minute, that wasn't so bad. Or if I make a threat and I carry it out, and you realize, oh, wow, that caused a lot more damage than I thought it did. So we're on two ends now. On one end, we threaten to basically bomb Iran to the Stone Age. And we've caused a massive amount of damage, caused a massive amount of destruction. We've killed a lot of people. But Iran's like standing up, saying, no, we survived. We're still standing. Bad. Iran's threatening in exchange. You know what? If you fight us, we're going to close the strait. And you're going to have to come to us if you want to go through there again. They did. And it was, oh, wait a minute. If we close the strait, we can charge money too. And so now they've charged money and people got to need money. You got to pay to go through. So that threat worked. I personally don't see how you put this genie back in the bottle, where you convince Iran at some point in the future, hey, you know what? I'm gonna stop charging tolls to go through the Strait of Hormuz and just let ships go through free like they used to. I don't know how you get back to that. So I am concerned that the instability that this war started, and the oil prices that started, and the instability across the Gulf, because what we never did talk about is how all the different countries, the Emirates, Kuwait, Bahrain, who spent years trying to build up these wonderful, peaceful places where people can vacation and shop and visit, how all that's gone out the door. We haven't even talked about that. I don't know how we get
Yeah.
back to a stable place again. So we can, it's the Arabs have a phrase, may you live in interesting times. We live in interesting times.
Yeah. I mean, I want to live in boring times. I don't know about you
Yes.
guys. I want to go
I would
play my
love
guitar
boring
and not
times.
think about any of this shit.
I would love boring times.
Alex, you make a great point. Now, I didn't go to war college. I don't think Mark went to war college. I don't know all the history. Here's what I do know as a businessman, and I know Mark is as well, having negotiated $1 million deals, but each of us, right? Leverage matters. We don't have it because what he said was a civilization will die tonight, which means he put the term. I mean, apart from the fact that it is absolutely ghoulish and despicable, he's saying, I'm going to nuke you. And the alternative is I give you everything you want because he has there's no dial on that, right? He made it so that it was absolutist either side. Because he didn't nuke them, he had to give them everything they wanted. Because he didn't follow through on something that would be unforgivable and you couldn't do it, he had to end up giving them everything they want. Now they're in a position where they Iran doesn't want us to have bases in the area. They want to charge everybody who passes through, or they want to give favored nation status to whomever they want to, anoint. They get to be the decision maker on that now. I don't even know if they ever thought of this. I don't know why it was never done before, but obviously they were afraid to do it. They never did it. Now they're doing it. They're charging and they're deciding who can go and who can't go. They're like, you shall not pass, right? They're that guy now, Gandalf. And they're deciding. So now they have the initiative and they don't want us to have bases there. And we blew up a bunch of their shit and they don't care because this regime doesn't care about their people. So we can kill their people. They don't really give a fuck. They were killing them anyway. So, I mean, that's insane in and of itself. So you can't put boots on the ground in there. We can't sustain an actual ground invasion there. I would think, Alex, right? You'd have to be able to land them. You'd have to be able to resupply them. You'd have to have a 500,000 man army to subjugate that country.
More
You're
than
not
that.
going to do any of this. So we have no cards.
You need more than that.
So you need you need the full entire resources of the U.S. military to subjugate the country of Iran completely. To no rebellion. We got you entirely locked down.
That's not happening.
But it's not happening, right? It's not happening.
Because then you're going to war with a lot of different countries too, not just
right. Because you're going to suck in all kinds of people. And apart from that, just strategically, it's stupid. They're moving units out of Japan to go over here to try and intimidate them. What does that do? It leaves that side with China. China could get creative. They could think about, well, what do I want to do? America's not over here. And even if they are, they're wasting their time in Iran and expending all their resources over there.
I think you made a really good point, Chris. Like as a negotiator, right? Like we're professional negotiators. It just drives us nuts when you lose leverage. And when I worked
No leverage.
when I worked at a big retailer, that we had $20 billion in sales, we had all the leverage in the world, going up against vendors because, it's like go find the other largest retailer to sell to because we're it, right? And then when you hear about Trump just giving up all of our leverage, it just makes you nervous. It leaves you open to people like Russia and China,
It's
yeah.
the fart of the deal, Mark. The fart of the deal.
And now he's
That's
talking about NATO.
That's what you get when you vote in a TV reality person.
You said it, Jenny.
It is.
So Mark, we probably should wrap it up. You have any final words before I give our guests their opportunity to impart us with their final thoughts?
No, but I do want to make sure that Jenny, you talk about you have a protest coming up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On Saturday, so April 11th is a nationwide protest, and it's basically we're telling ICE, fuck off. So it's a fuck ICE. So everyone, if you can go to your nearest ICE detention center, I'll be wearing a inflatable penis. I know at Whipple they're taking, dildos and we're not throwing anything. We're not hurting
Don't throw
anybody.
anything.
But
You
no,
could be as graphic as you want to be, but don't throw anything.
right. We're
Does
not
your
doing
inflatable
anything.
have a ball sack as well, or just the shaft part?
No, it's the whole deal. It's the
It's
whole
the
deal.
whole deal.
Like,
I did a little video of me and my inflatable on my TikTok, which I won't share with you. But
I'll go. I'm
Well,
gonna,
look
yeah,
it up.
so it's just fuck ICE. Fuck ICE, fuck this administration.
Yep.
We're done. We're
Okay.
so done with it.
All right. And Alex, as a retired colonel of the U.S. Army, you do not need to necessarily be as graphic or gross as your fellow guest this evening. But please tell us, any remaining thoughts that you have after being exposed to our insanity for the last hour.
Well, this was fun. I really enjoyed it. So first off, Chris, Mark, thank you. Jenny,
You're welcome.
I'm on with you. I lost your mom.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
As for my thoughts, I said earlier that I don't know if I'm going to necessarily see the other side of this because I'm in my 50s. I don't know if I'm going to see the where we are in a much better place than we are right now, or where we can be back to the place where we were before all this insanity started. But what I would say is that we can't just give up. We can't just roll over. We can't decide that we're not going to do anything. We can't just lay down and die. We have to do whatever we can. Whatever means, ways, methods you have to fight, do it. Again, I said earlier to you, Mark, I salute you for being willing to get into the fight.
Sure.
And because I know it's a challenge, I know it's tough, and I salute you for doing that. And if you can just tell if any part works for me, stay in the fight. It only gets better when we put the effort forward to make it better. It's not going to happen on its own. Again, thank you so much. This has been great.
You got it, Alex, dude. And that's the perfect way to end the show, Mark, because you do whatever you can do. One of those things is doing this podcast is what I can do to help bring voices to the table and bring awareness to these matters. And Jenny's leading protests, and Mark's running for office, and Alex is using his big brain to help give good guidance to to the people on the streets fighting. So we appreciate all you guys for everything you're doing. Anybody out there, yeah, keep fighting. I always say that at the end of every episode. Keep fighting, keep hope alive. Until next time, dad bods and bad attitudes.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thanks.